Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nightstand Coffee. I'm Todd.
And I'm Jennifer.
And this is Season 1, Episode 4. And today we're going to be talking about feelings.
We are.
Because we all have them.
We do. And so I do find it weird that when we say our names together that I feel like I have to say Jennifer and not Jen.
Yeah, it's very formal.
Well, it's just, I don't know.
For the longest time, you were Jennifer.
True.
It really changed when we moved to Pennsylvania because everybody here, they shorten your name. It's just what they do.
Yeah.
I don't know why. My name only has one syllable, so
there's no shortening.
Shortening. Okay, yeah.
Call you T.
Call me T. Please do not start calling me T.
Well, and it's kind of weird because in the beginning, like I would notice when people would call me Jen. And now I notice when people call me Jennifer. So
right.
like I even said it out of my mouth. Like that feels weird. Like I've kind of transitioned.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
whatever.
And you changed it in your contact info on your phone.
Yeah.
Which automatically updated to my phone. And so now every time I ask my phone to call Jennifer, it goes, there are 9 Jennifers in your contact list. Used to, it would just call you because you were my Jennifer. But now you're Jen.
I'm sorry.
And so then I have to
maybe I need a new name.
Maybe. Well, I had wife in there. But somehow that when you changed it, that cleared out too.
So we got divorced and I changed my name.
Yeah. So now when I say call my wife, it goes,
who's your wife?
You need to add contact information for her. I'm like, I know who she is.
I didn't know that my disruption would be so problematic.
So now I need to. Well, I need to edit your contact, and then whenever it says, "Do you want to update it?" I need to say no.
Okay. So here's another thing I want to point out is that part of our differences is that I would much rather be up late at night,
yes,
and you would much rather be up in the morning.
Yes.
Okay. So it is like 7 a.m. and I am on recording with you.
And I've been up for 2 hours.
Yeah. And so, and this is not my jam. So like if we had it my way, it'd be 11 o'clock at night and we'll be recording this stuff.
Yeah. And I would have been asleep for an hour
my word.
already.
So I figured it's more important for you to have your brain functioning and I'll just get up.
Okay. Well,
just this one time. I don't know.
It.
I don't know that I'm committing to this.
Thank you.
It's early.
Yeah. Well, I can stay up sometimes.
Sometimes. Anyway, okay, so today we want to talk about feelings.
Do we?
We do. We do. That's our topic. We're going to talk about feelings.
And therein lies the problem.
Why?
Well, you said we were going to talk about feelings, and I said, do we want to talk about feelings?
Oh, okay. So you're representing your gender.
That's right.
With that statement.
Yep. So
here's something that I perceive. So in my counseling practice, there's oftentimes that, I'm working with men or couples, and I notice that men sometimes struggle with expressing their feelings.
Yeah.
A lot of times it feels like they don't have the vocabulary for it. They just aren't familiar with like what feelings feel like. And, and I know for me, feelings have always been fairly easy. And so part of that, I think I really attribute to my mom, because growing up, we'd be feeling some kind of way and she'd be like, put your finger on it. What do you think it is? And like would spend time with me and my sister trying to kind of peel the onion to figure out what it was that we were feeling. And so and then getting into the counseling field, right? Like I feel like that's kind of I'm a feeling specialist.
Yeah. That's
right?
your stock in trade.
Yeah. And so like that doesn't feel so difficult for me to figure out what I'm feeling often. I mean, sometimes I'll have a challenge, but for the most part, I'm pretty solid. And so that comes fairly easy. So I really notice it when someone doesn't have the vocabulary. And I don't know that this is always a gender issue, but it seems to be most often that men struggle with expressing feelings.
Yeah, as a general rule.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
it's more male than female.
So tell me what you think about that. Why do you think that men would struggle to express their feelings?
I mean, I think there are a few reasons. You mentioned men not having language for their feelings even. Mm-hmm. And it's because it's discouraged when you're a boy, right?
I'd like to point out right now, I'm drinking the coffee that you left me on my nightstand.
Hey.
Yay. Okay, go ahead.
So it's discouraged a lot of times when you're a boy, when you're growing up as a boy, because it's not seen as strong. It's not seen as masculine. It's not seen as, and so, I mean, there's very much a sense of, even if it's not literally said, there's a sense of, I don't care how you feel. There's work to do, right? It doesn't matter how you feel. There's a job to be done. It doesn't, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yeah, suck it up.
You got to and so men don't develop a language around their feelings because there's very much a your feelings have to be put on the back burner because there are more important things that are in front of you. There are more important things that we need to attend to.
Well, and that may be true.
Certainly, there are certainly times when that's the case. But
well, and I think women need to be able to do that too. Like, it's like, okay, so yeah, you feel some kind of way, but there's stuff that has to be done. You can't give in to these feelings and not do it. But it's way more acceptable for a woman, I guess, to stop and feel the feels than it would be.
Yeah. So I would think, and certainly this is just traditionally, it doesn't mean that it has to be this way, but traditionally, that's been a man's day-to-day existence, though.
Okay.
Right? So historically, if you look at classic gender roles, right, the man was the provider and the protector, and those jobs don't stop. Every day that has to be done, right? Literally every day a man would have to go out and hunt, or literally every day a man would have to go and work out in the field or milk the cows or, whatever. Like you got to get up and provide. You got to get up and do this. And so a man's day-to-day existence was, it doesn't matter how you feel, go and get it done, or no one eats. Go and get it done, or people die. Go, and so there was a weight of responsibility that dictated that I've got to put these other things aside and make this happen. And then that just becomes habitual. It just becomes the pattern that you live in. And so even when there is time and space for you to sit back and to think and to process, number one, you're not accustomed to it, so it feels weird. And then number two, you're in a habit of not doing that, and so then you're like, this doesn't feel good. I don't want to, like, let's do something else.
Well, could you even go so far as to say that boys want to please their dad? And so if their dad's the one saying, hey, stop crying, don't feel the feels, that they feel like they have to match what their dad's behavior is.
Certainly. Yeah. Every time. Like if you fall down and skin your knee when you're a little boy and you start to cry and your dad says, hey, stop crying, suck it up, walk it off, toughen up, be a man, right? Then you learn very quickly that those kinds of expressions are not masculine. They are not manly. They are not, and so then you start to shut those things off.
And how do you find the balance in that? Because like you don't want any child to be overly attentive to
soft.
Yeah. Okay, that'll work. And so you don't want that, but yet at the same time you want to feel their feelings. And so then how would you think you would balance that?
So one of the things that I've been thinking about when we started talking about what we're going to talk about this episode is that there's a difference between emotion and emotional. And
okay.
I think men are afraid of and taught not to be emotional, right? Like, don't give in to your emotions. Don't overly express your emotions. Don't, change with every passing breeze. But then we equate that with even just having the emotion, right? And so I think it's one thing for us to understand, like, it's okay for me to feel these things and even talk about them and discuss them. I mean, how else will we understand ourselves and know ourselves?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Martin Luther said that knowing yourself was a prerequisite to knowing God. Like, and he didn't say it in those terms, but that's essentially what he was getting at. Then in order for us to truly understand and see God, we have to understand ourselves because that's how we relate to God is through the lens of our experiences and our life and our understanding, and like to know when I'm believing the wrong thing, right? And to know, and so anyway, we have this thing where it's like, okay, I can't express or be emotional. And so then we just deny the emotion itself to our own detriment, because then we never really are able to kind of really understand how we feel, really understand ourselves, understand our responses to certain things, understand why we react the way that we do to particular situations or stimuli, understand, and so then we never are able to move past that, to move into a better way of handling things or dealing with things, or you're
just never given the tools, I don't think.
Maybe.
I mean, like, that could be a challenge. And so then do you feel like that you were tuned into your feelings growing up, or like
yeah, it's to some degree. I mean, I was a pretty sensitive kid, I guess would be the best way to put that. Like,
But sensitive in a good way, not in a.
yeah, no. I was,
You were aware of the environment and people around you and being
Yeah.
sensitive to people.
yeah.
I'm basing that on things I've heard your mom say. I didn't know you till you were 22.
Right. But I would say that there certainly was a point in my growing up where it seemed more advantageous to me to not feel things.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
So what'd you do with it?
I started stuffing it down, denying that it was there, ignoring it.
Do you still do that?
I can tend to, yeah. Not nearly as much as I did. You've kind of pulled my feelings
Poked
out.
the bear enough?
Yeah. And that was the thing for me, honestly. Like when you say poke the bear, I was afraid really that there was a bear, right? That there was
Yeah.
a monster in there. And if I really talked about how I was feeling, that it would not be pretty. It would be ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And I equated the expression of negative emotion, especially, with the dissolution of my family, right? And with my parents breaking up. And so any kind of expression of negative emotion, in my mind, I equated that with separation, with, with my family breaking up. And so I automatically assumed that would be the end of relationship if I expressed negative emotion. I've got to just keep everything cool
Yeah.
all the time. And,
Well, and so I think this is really a challenge in relationships because I think that I want to say stereotypically, like men aren't in touch enough with their feelings to talk about them, but then that impacts their relationship and their intimacy with their spouse, with their wife, because they aren't emotionally available at all.
right,
They aren't sharing how they feel about things.
right. But they think that they are protecting their wife by not telling her what's bothering them.
Yeah.
Right. And the problem is that your wife knows you well enough to know that something's bothering you. Mm-hmm. And when you don't share it with her, then what she thinks is, why is he hiding this from me?
Mm-hmm.
Why does he not trust me? Or is there something that he's hiding from me? And so it creates an environment of mistrust.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think that you're protecting your spouse. And then when she reacts negatively, you don't understand why, because you go, why is she upset? I haven't even told her about what's bothering me. Like, why would it, but you're creating an environment where she knows something's wrong, but she doesn't know what it is. And you're not talking to her about it. And then no one, there's just an elephant in the room.
Tension.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and so we kind of talked about like if it feels like a burden, like you're worried that if you share it with your wife that it makes you look weak.
Yeah.
Or that that she can't handle what you're handling. What do you think?
Yeah. So I mean, certainly, like if you've had a difficult day at work, your boss has been a jerk, or whatever, right? You don't want to bring that home to your family, and so you just don't say anything. And like I said, you think that you're protecting your family in that way. You don't want them to have to carry that. You don't want your wife to have to worry about it.
And I think you want to separate yourself from it. Like when
sure,
you say,
I
like,
want to leave that at work.
You
and
don't
come
yeah.
home, and I want this to be my place where I can just relax and where I don't have to worry about that stuff, and I don't have to talk about that stuff. And
right, you want to just get into your nothing box. But the problem is that the spouse, the wife, is wanting to hear from you about those things. I can't even tell you how often in marriage couples or marriage sessions that they'll say, the wife, I just want to know what's going on. I just want to know how you feel about it. I want you to share your challenges with me. Like that's how women are emotionally connected, is like to hear what's yucky and to just try to support each other and support your husband that way. And so I can think of off the top of my head 4 couples that I've worked with that's been the thing, that they're like, I want to know what's hard. I want to know what you're dealing with. I want to be your teammate. And then the husband has said, well, I just don't want to burden you with that. I don't want you to have to think about these things. Like, I don't want it to be something, that you carry around. And the wife is just like almost like a sponge, just going, I just want to soak that up. I just want to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah. So how do we create a place where both people are getting their needs met? Because if a man needs to come home and not talk about that stuff, at least not,
Immediately.
Yeah. Or, he needs to decompress. He needs a place to, but the wife longs for and needs to hear about those things and share her husband's heart. How do we get both?
Well, so, I mean, I think you do need to respect the moments, when you come home, you need a few minutes. Like, I think it's probably something that needs to be discussed between each other and say, hey, I need about 30 minutes or I need an hour or something, like some kind of time frame. Because you can't say, I'm going to the garage and you're not going to see me for hours, right? Like, that's not really ideal. Like, you need to have some kind of like window of, okay, so I'm going to go kind of check out for a little bit, but I will come back, And I think that as the wife, like, you need to give space in order for them to express their feelings, because I think we can pounce on that. Like, you just give a little bit of feeling and like, oh, that was so great. What else can I get from you? And like, you try to get more information and they're like, listen, I got 2 sentences and that's all I feel like I can share with you right now. And then they're like, the next time they're like, I don't want to share this because she's going to try to ask all these questions and then I'm going to have to give more than what I want to give or touch, feel more than I want to feel. And so I think as the wife, we have to ask the question and then sit in the quiet and wait for the answer.
Yeah.
And so that's even like a counseling technique that they teach us is about like silence is uncomfortable.
Right.
And so then as a clinician, like, you need to get comfortable with the silence because you ask the question and you just kind of sit there. And so then the person you're talking to is going to get squirmy and feel pressured to answer the question. And so then they often do that. Now there's some that'll stall out and like, well, like they'll dig their heels in and like, I ain't going there, so that does happen sometimes. But as a general rule, we end up, if we offer silence, then an answer comes. And so give them space to process. Like, I know for you and I, that's something that I've had to get better at because sometimes it takes you a while to get the words together. And I'm like going, come on now, let's get this out here.
Yeah.
And so like I've had to chill out sometimes about it because it's like, why are we not connected already to these feelings? You should know them. Why are we sitting in 30 minutes of silence? Like, bring it out. It's never that long, but it feels like a long time sometimes. And so like learning to just sit and go, it's okay. Just wait it out,
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't it be great if we all had words immediately for every feeling that we have? But that's not real. And I think especially for men, because of
you shut off from them so often and they're not easily accessible.
Yeah. And here's something that I want to say, in regard to, there's this understanding that manhood is kind of looks a certain way. That it's the strong silent type, and we put our head down and we get the job done. And certainly there are times that that kind of resolve is necessary. Like if you think about times of war, right? Or of, when there's a job that has to get done so there are times to celebrate that. There are times that kind of grit is necessary. But I think it's also readily apparent if you look at the scriptures, if you look at, especially the Psalms, that David, who was, a warrior and a king and a leader, and like also writes these poems and these songs that are full of emotion, and he's pouring it out to God, and he's talking about the deep recesses of his heart and how he, expressing how he feels, and so I think that we need a full picture of manhood the way that we see it in the scriptures, and that we need to strive to live in that way.
That's good. And I think understanding that we were created in God's image. And so the fact that we feel feelings is a reflection of who God is, right?
Sure.
Like that's not something we're not supposed to do. And like, so
Jesus wept.
This is true. Well, yeah, he felt a lot of feelings.
Right. He was angry. He flipped the tables in the temple. He got tired. He was
compassionate.
He was grieved. There's the section
he was
where
stressed. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
That's
off.
okay. I mean, there's a full range of emotions,
well,
right?
like, there was a book that I read recently that said there was 41 different emotions that Jesus expressed.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't give them all to you right now, but like, finding scriptures that supported those things. And so
I didn't even know I had 41 emotions.
Well, yeah, you do. Because Jesus did. And we're made in his image. So therefore. So I think it's also important to point out, though, sometimes we don't have the vocabulary for feelings, right? If like, I think anger is very safe to express, maybe sadness, and then like positive emotions. But like, other than that, like I think sometimes it's hard to have the words to even know what the feelings are.
Yeah.
And so do you feel like that's a struggle?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that we even spend any time
Yeah.
thinking what's the best word to express how I feel right now.
Oh, I do.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I don't know that I don't know that that's all that common.
Okay.
And so no, we don't.
Right. Well, and so there's been times that when I've worked with people that struggle with the vocabulary that like I've printed out feelings lists and gone through it and said, okay, so here's these lists of feelings that express sadness. Here's the ones that express anger. Here's the ones that express loss, whatever they are. And like, and talking through what each word means. And if we didn't know, then we would like look it up and say, okay, this word has a certain nuance to it. And so like just developing the vocabulary for feelings, I think is really important, because if you didn't talk about those growing up, if that hasn't been fostered or nurtured in you, you may simply just not even have the words. And so I think if you're struggling, I think that's a task you could do. I mean, it may sound weird to sit down with a list of words and look them up, but if you feel disconnected and you're wanting the vocabulary, that's one way to get to it.
Right. And so then, because I think the reason that's so important is because when we're able to identify what a feeling really is, not just, the general kind of I'm mad, but, more specific things, we're able to identify what it is. Then we're able to start to really flesh out and get to the why it is. Why do I feel this way?
Right.
Like if I am feeling, overwhelmed, why am I feeling that way? If I feel sorrow, why am I feeling it? If I feel, unimportant, why do I feel that way? And then we're able to start to get at the things that are really bugging us. And so I think that's the thing. Like if you can get to the why, what is the thing behind this emotion? When my wife asks me how I feel and I react in a negative way, why is that? Why does that make me angry, or why does that make me anxious, or why does that feel intrusive, right? Why do I feel like that's, why am I skeptical of it maybe? Why am I, whatever it might be, whatever your response to that question might be, what is motivating that? What's underneath that?
Well, and I think it's true too that, and this could be on both sides. I don't think this is the husband or a wife. I think it's both. But like sometimes we've expressed our feelings to the other one and the other one didn't handle it well. And so then that kind of sets up some brick building for a wall between you. Because like you have this expectation of I'm going to share myself with you, and then it doesn't go well, and you're like, oh, I guess I can't do that anymore, or I can't tell him how I really feel, or I can't tell her what I feel about this. It just makes her mad, and so then a wall starts to be built, and then that emotional disconnection happens.
Yeah,
and so like I think you have to be aware of that. And here's the thing: if that's true between you and your spouse, you can figure out when it happened. Like if you just take a second and go, when did I get the message from my husband or my wife that I can't share my feelings? You can go there. It won't take you any amount of time to go, oh, I know when that happened. It was here. When this happened, when she said this, I stopped sharing. Or when he did this to me, I stopped sharing it. Like it's there.
Yeah.
And so you need to be thinking about that. If you feel like there is a disconnect between you and your spouse, take a minute and go, when did that happen? Here's some homework. When did that happen? When did you first feel like it was not safe to share how you felt? Or when did you feel like you expressed yourself when you didn't feel heard by them? Like they either dismissed it or they misunderstood it. And so you're like, it's not worth sharing anymore. And so I think that's important to go back to that and see where that happened.
Right.
Well,
yeah. And then, and then give each other the opportunity to grow.
True. That's
think,
fair.
I think sometimes we are still holding our spouse, or seeing our spouse as the same person that they were when that moment occurred, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter how long ago it might have been. It could have been a decade or more ago, and you are still seeing them through that lens. And you've not given them the credit for the growth that may have happened in their life, or even willing to admit, to be open to the possibility that they can and have grown past that thing.
Well, and so it's that whole, if you keep putting your hand out and it gets getting slapped, then you quit putting your hand out. And so maybe you need to try your hand a little bit and just see if there's been growth, right?
Yeah.
See if there's been any change. But I also need to put this point out there that like sometimes maybe your spouse didn't know that they messed up, right? Or that they mishandled your feelings when you expressed them. Like it might have ended up in a blow up fight and you could tell, right? But it might have been a time that they didn't know you were sharing something pretty sensitive and they didn't react well. And then, and then now it's a problem.
Right. Well, and I think we operate from this understanding that their reaction was intentional, that they intended to hurt my feelings.
Oh,
that
yeah.
they, it's like, maybe they didn't. Maybe they just weren't equipped to handle that kind of conversation at that point.
Yeah.
And they've got to learn, but they can't learn if you don't continue to take the risk. You have to be willing to take the risk, and it's hard and it's scary.
Yeah.
And it's, so you open the conversation with that, like, hey, I want to talk to you about this. Here's why I'm afraid to talk to you about it, but I want to do it anyway because it's important for us. And let them know, like you've said to me before, it's been a while now, but there was something that you wanted to share with me, and you were a little afraid of how I might respond to it. And so you said to me, hey, I want to share something with you, and I need you to be gentle with my heart. Mm-hmm. And so I knew immediately, okay, this is important. How you respond to this is going to make a difference,
Right.
And so then you shared with me what was on your heart, and I did my very best to respond in a way that was gentle, to respond in the way that I felt like you needed me to. I've even, and I don't know if I did in that particular moment, but I've even kind of made a habit of saying, hey, what is it that you need from me? Mm-hmm. And
that's true. That's new. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
And so like that was not something that you started out doing.
No.
Right. And so you had to learn that.
No, because I just wanted to fix it.
Yeah.
Whatever you were bringing up, and I think we've talked about this a little bit before, even in a couple of our previous episodes, that a man's natural response is solution, right? When a man asks his friends for advice, he's wanting them to present solutions. When a wife asks her husband for advice, she is not always wanting a solution, and so. Part of our job as husbands is to figure out when our wife is wanting a solution and when she's not.
Yeah.
And then give her the support that she's wanting in that moment. But that requires that you ask.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the easiest way. And that's what I've learned to do. Like, hey, what do you need from me in response to this? What is it that you're asking me?
Well, okay, so let's also talk a little bit about defensiveness. Like when a wife is expressing, hey, I need something different from you as my husband, or, when you said this to me, it hurt my feelings, or whatever it is, where the husband is being, I guess I see it most in the husband, it may be in the wife too. But like when you're being told, hey, what you did was a problem for me, or, it hurt my feelings, or you didn't manage this well. And so then how do you prevent someone from getting defensive? What's your opinion about that?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I think that's
the individual person issue.
Yeah,
I think
the person who is taking offense, the person who's getting defensive, they are responsible for that. Mm-hmm. I'm responsible for how I respond to you. Mm-hmm. You're not responsible for that.
Yeah.
Right? Now, are you responsible for the way you present the information? And
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But I'm responsible for how I respond. One of the things I tell our kids is that offense is something that can be taken, never given. You know, even if someone is being offensive towards me, if I choose not to take offense, then there's nothing they can do about that one way or the other.
Yeah.
By the same token, if I choose to take offense, that's not on them, that's on me.
Yeah.
And so if we are getting defensive and being offended by the things that our spouse is doing, we're responsible for that, not our spouse. We can't say, well, you made me. No one made you do anything.
Well, I think it kind of speaks to the feelings of inadequacy, right? Going like you feel like you have to defend that rather than like letting the person in to say, okay, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, or I'll consider that. It's like, what do you mean I said this or I did this? You know, you aren't seeing me for who I am or whatever. And so like, I think you have to stop and think about that and go, so why am I not considering what's being said?
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, I think that can be a challenge too.
Yeah.
So, do you think there's anything that's easy?
Well, we want our spouse, we want our spouse to be on our side.
True.
And so when we feel like they aren't, you know, like if I'm in a conflict with a coworker and I come to you and tell you about what's going on and rightfully so, maybe you see that really my coworker is correct and that I should, you know, well, then it feels like you're not on my team.
Yeah.
You know, and so we respond that way. And that's part of why we get defensive. But the reality is I can be wrong.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you know what I mean? Like,
Teasing.
No, I mean, and I'm saying that in a general sense.
Sure.
You know, I can be wrong.
Yeah.
And I have to have the humility to be open to that possibility. And the willingness to go, man, okay, yeah, you're right. But that means that I have to recognize that sometimes you being on my team means disagreeing with me.
Right. Well, and it doesn't always have to feel like rejection, right? So if someone is expressing, hey, I need something different from you, and you're like, you feel the need to be defensive, it's because it feels like they're rejecting you. They're saying what you're doing is not okay, and I don't like it. I don't like you. And so like separating yourself from that, like it's a difference in a behavior and an identity, right?
Yeah.
Being able to say, they're asking me to change my behavior. And so I'm sure we can dive into that one at some point.
Yeah.
And so, what do you have any tips for anybody? What are you thinking about, like feelings wise?
I mean, you just have to do it. That's the thing. You just have to do it.
I mean, it would really change the dynamic of a relationship if like you have stalled out and not been expressing your feelings. And like these are all feelings, like not just negative, I'm mad at you feelings, but like sadness and excitement and anticipation and like sorrow. I guess the same as sadness. Look at me and my using my vocabulary.
Yeah.
You know, just the different feelings that you have, fear, anxiety, apprehension, you know, that type of stuff, like expressing those things, I can really take a relationship to a deeper level.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, there are men out there who are really good at expressing what they don't like.
Yeah.
But aren't so good at talking to their wife about what they do like.
That's true.
About affirming her and you know, like, you know, when she does something that makes you feel loved, you don't tell her. When she does something that makes you feel valued, that expresses honor, like you need to tell her. You need to reinforce those things. And the same is true for the wife, you know. Let your husband know the things that he does that make you feel treasured, that make you feel valued, that make you feel loved, and reinforce those things. Those emotions are every bit as important as learning to talk about the hard stuff.
Right. Well, and if you want to continue to have those things happen, you do have to foster that and nurture it and say, you know, thank you for doing this for me, or thank you for being emotionally there for me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for whatever it is. Like, because the reality is your spouse wants to be there for you.
Yeah.
Right. Like no one goes into their marriage and going, man, I hope my marriage is crap.
Right. Well, and how many times do you talk to a couple and you hear them say, you know, I did this and 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 this, and they never said a thing.
Right.
But when I left my, you know, work boots, you know, next to the door or whatever, you know, whatever it might be, when I I can't think of a good scenario, but anyway.
Well, didn't take the trash out for 2 days or something kind of lame.
Yeah. Or, something even, more emotionally kind of freighted, like, but when I said this thing, man, like, and we're doing that to justify the thing that we did, but it doesn't make it any less true that maybe you did do a ton of positive things and never got a single response.
Right.
So those things are so important, that we are reinforcing, that we are telling each other what, the good things that we are sharing. Like, thank you so much for that.
Well, and I will say this too, though. Sometimes the spouse doesn't know what to do with the thank you. Like, they don't know how to respond to that, right? Like, they're glad to get it, but they don't know how to answer that. Like, I've definitely seen that happen. Like, they're kind of like, okay, well, yeah, that's it, yeah. I do that kind of stuff all the time. Like, they don't know what to do with it. It means a lot to them, but they don't know how to express, hey, that meant a lot to me that you said thank you.
Yeah.
Right? Because they just kind of blow it off. And so then when you blow it off, then their spouse like, well, what's the point of that? They didn't even like that I said thank you. It didn't matter to them. So why should I keep putting myself out there and saying these things when it doesn't really matter?
Yeah.
So if it matters, you should say, hey, that felt good. Thank you for acknowledging that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Or, just say, well, you're welcome. I love you.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, we're not above like expressing, hey, I need some appreciation for what I just did.
Right.
I mean, just this weekend, you said, hey, I need you to go downstairs and look at the basement. Because you cleaned it up. And so then I went down there and I made, woo, look at this space. This looks really good, and made over it. And so it didn't hurt me to do that.
Right.
And it didn't hurt me not to have to clean the basement. So, so like needing your work to be acknowledged, that's not a problem for me.
Yeah.
There probably would have been a season in our marriage though, that it would have been, that I'd have been irritated about like, okay, yeah, well, I do this stuff all the time. So why do I have to stop and acknowledge what you just did? Whoop-dee-doo, like whatever. Like I do laundry all the time. What's the big deal? Whatever. And so like, we've had to grow to the point where it's okay to celebrate the small things, or the big things, but to not withhold that. I think we have a tendency to withhold that sometimes.
Yeah. And I know that there's this kind of, people go, well, you don't need to thank you for doing your job. Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I mean, you get one every 2 weeks. It's called a check. And if you didn't get it, if you didn't get the thanks, right? If you didn't get, you'd quit that job. And even more than that, if you're getting paid and paid well for a job and your boss doesn't appreciate what you do, you'll go look for another job, right? Yeah. Or you'll just go home and complain every day because he doesn't have any appreciation or she doesn't have any appreciation for the work. They have
no idea what I do.
Yeah.
That company couldn't run without me.
Yeah. But then you do the same thing to your spouse. Right? They're working hard. They're doing everything they know to do to support you, to make a household run, to do all that kind of stuff. And you don't ever say thank you for it.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why you're irritated with each other. Then you wonder why you're having the feelings that you have. Well, it's because you're not expressing gratitude. And so when we aren't grateful for the things that we have, we always then default to looking at the things we don't have. Mm-hmm. You can't do both.
Well, and so like I have a friendship situation where I know that the husband is like basically refusing to do anything in the house, like his job's outside kind of thing. And so I think that's hard. Like, any thoughts about that situation? Like if somebody's like refusing to. I think they probably have like been on a long road to get here, where it's kind of like maybe there's no appreciation. And so then they just stop doing something and then they're not talking about it. Mm-hmm. And so then any thoughts as to how you get to that spot? We didn't pre-talk about this question, so maybe you don't.
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm having a hard time not initially just responding and going, hey, jerk, get up off your butt and do something.
Yeah.
And I know that's not fair.
We told people we can't name call.
I know.
So you got to take it back.
You're not a jerk. But, and I recognize that maybe there's a whole laundry list of outside things that he's doing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, the couple. So, but I would say what the scripture says about being great in the kingdom of heaven is that if you want to be great in the kingdom of heaven, be a servant to everybody. So how are you serving your wife? By refusing to give her help inside the house.
Yeah.
Also, if you're helping to make the mess inside the house,
clean it up.
if you were at your job and there was a member of your team who got out all the tools, helped make the mess, and then at the end of the day went, making the mess is my job.
Yeah.
Cleaning it up is yours.
Eesh.
That's essentially what you're saying to your wife when you say, I'm not doing any of the inside work. You're saying, making a mess in here is my job. Cleaning it up is yours. You're here to serve me.
Blech.
Right?
Yuck. That doesn't feel good at all.
But that's what it is.
Yeah.
You might not ever say it in those words. And when you hear me say it in that way, you're going, oh, that's not what I mean.
That's what you're saying,
That's
though.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so, she's not put on this earth to serve you. Right? Now, should we serve each other willingly? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
to expect to be served.
Yeah, but when we treat each other as if they are servants to us, Jesus said that the Son of Man, he was referring to himself, right? So basically he said, I did not come to be served, but to serve and give my life as a ransom for many. And so that should be our attitude in our homes. I didn't come here to be served. I came here to serve. And when we do that, when we're serving each other, when we are submitting to each other out of our love for Christ and our love for each other, then people don't have to go around with their needs unmet.
Yeah.
Because we're always looking to meet the other person's need. If I'm looking to meet your needs and you are looking to meet mine and we are serving each other in that way, then everybody gets their needs met.
That's good. That's really good. I think, I think to chew on that is important. Like, we talked about this last night in Freedom, which was, how do you know if you have a servant's heart? And it's like,
let somebody treat you like a servant.
Well, it's how you respond when someone treats you like one, right? Like what's your reaction when someone treats you like a servant? And so then, are you there yet? Yeah. And so I think there's some scenarios where I'm okay. There's some that I'm not, and so it definitely can be growth for all of us really. But in that mindset going, is this okay? Is my reaction to someone having this expectation of me, is that Christ-like?
Yeah. And going back to the particular example that we were giving, if the shoe were reversed, if the roles were reversed and the shoe was on the other foot, that's what I was actually trying to say.
Okay.
And you were outside doing a job and you really needed and wanted some help. And you went to this, if this husband went to his wife and said, hey, I'm working in this flower bed out here. Would you mind coming to help me? I could really use some help with that. And she said, oh, no. My job's inside. How would you respond? Right?
Yeah.
How would you respond? And so you have to do those kinds of things where you go, okay, what if this was flipped around? How would I feel if I was being treated the way that I'm treating my spouse?
Yeah.
How would I respond if they did to me what I'm doing to them in these moments? And it
makes you not want to do anything. Like if that were to happen, if you said to me, oh, my job's outside, or I'm not doing anything, I'm going to make this mess and leave it for you. Then I'd be like, oh yeah, well, let me not do some stuff. It's hard not to get tit for tat on that.
Yeah. Which is exactly where couples go.
I know.
And so then I'm not having sex with you.
Right.
I'm not talking to you about this. I'm not doing this for you. I'm not going to dinner with you. I'm not doing, and then, you're at a standoff.
Right. Well, and so I guess this is kind of an offshoot of feelings. So we've kind of gone down a bit of a trail, but I think it's all related.
Yeah.
And so
it's how we're responding to our feelings. So so rather than dealing with them in a healthy way, rather than dealing with them in a way that will bring us closer to each other, rather than dealing with them in a way that will help us to grow and will create health in our marriage, we're just, going to our different, going to our corner and
Yeah. Well, so
waiting for the bell to ring.
yeah, so it's a showdown.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to kind of recap a little bit about, I mentioned homework earlier about going through, and if you needed to get some words, like go through and get some definitions, get some vocab. That's one thing. And then I also think some homework would be to talk to your spouse and say, is there anything I'm doing that's keeping you from expressing your feelings to me? And like, be prepared for both. Each of you need to answer that question. Like, is there something that I'm doing that's keeping you from wanting to share how you feel?
Yeah.
You know, and is there anything I can do differently to make that a little easier? And so that really could be a healthy conversation. Now, if someone expresses that, you know, then you need to be sensitive to what they're saying. That's a place to be gentle with their heart. You know, don't get defensive and go, I don't do that. Like, well, you may not think you're doing it, but your spouse seems to think that way because they're feeling some kind of way about it.
Yeah. And maybe instead of saying, I don't do that, maybe your response should be, I'm going to try to be more aware of that.
Right.
And you just start to look and see, do I actually do that? Right. So rather than just immediately going, I don't do that, take the next couple of days, take the next week and like
self-assess.
audit yourself. Yeah.
Well, or even ask for an example. Like say, okay, so give me an example of when I did that. Right? Why are you laughing?
Well, because, men are not as likely to bring receipts to the table as a woman is.
Well, okay.
So,
okay. All right. So, but maybe you can't like say, ask for an example. And if they don't have one, say, well, when next time it shows up, I will say something, right? I'll say, this is what I was talking about. Or, hey, here's a point I want to make. Now don't go, this is what I was talking about. I can't tell you nothing. Don't do that. But just saying, hey, so remember we talked about the feelings conversation. I feel like this is one of those moments where I can't share with you because you just said this or you just did this. And so now I'm feeling apprehensive.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a lot of vulnerability. That's a lot of responsibility. But if you're wanting things to shift and change in your marriage, you're going to have hard conversations.
yeah.
Guess what? You can't get married until you're 18. At least in Pennsylvania, they changed the law where you can't get married. Your parents can't even sign for you. You have to be 18, which means you're an adult. Adults have hard conversations. Welcome to adulthood. So have a hard conversation. If you need help with those words, like we'd be happy to do that. You know, stop us in church or give us text message or send a message to us on Facebook or whatever.
Spotify.
However you can find us. We'll be happy to give you some pointers on that, or to point you in the direction of who to talk to get those pointers. But don't be afraid to step out, because if you want things to change, you have to do something different.
Yeah.
So we're still trying to figure out a tagline for ending this podcast.
Aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring some coffee. I don't know. So I think next time, I want to talk about forgiveness.
Okay.
A little bit. So we need to be chewing on that a little bit in the next week. Oh, I forgot to say the reason we skipped last week is because I was out of town.
Yes.
I was in Ireland.
Yeah.
And so we had put out there, we wanted to do this semi-weekly. So as weekly as much as we can, but like life is hard. And so there's just no way we could have made that happen.
Right.
So we skipped one. Thanks for being patient with us. Okay. So bring some coffee. It needs work. I don't know. We've been trying to figure out what to say to end it.
Do we need one?
Probably.
Can we just say,
I feel better having
until
one.
next time, we'll see you then?
I don't know. Whatever. We can do something, but the point is, it's over.
That's a terrible ending.
I know. That's what I'm saying. We need a tagline to end this thing so we know that it's over. So, okay. How about, I love you very much. Thank you for telling me about your feelings. We'll talk to you next time about forgiveness. Okay.
Until next time.
Oh, you stink. All right. Goodbye.